Uh-oh. It sounds like the Aggies might have Jabre Barber after all.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Hope everybody enjoyed that interview with Jabre Barber yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Going to try and get some more recruits on the show. That's going to be the goal. We're going to, reach out to some more guys and see what we can make happen. But that was really cool. A lot of great support and comments. So I appreciate y'all all who enjoyed that. But once again, today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Texas A&M fans got a very, very, very big surprise when we heard from Coach Elko on the podium. So this was the quote from Coach Elko. He says, Jabre Barber is ahead of schedule as he recovers from foot surgery and will be available much sooner than initially thought. I've heard there's a chance, an outside chance, that he's ready to go for the opener. But here's the deal. Let's say Jabre Barber is not good to go for the game against Notre Dame, right? There's some opportunities for other players to get reps and get snaps in that game. But listen, Jabre Barber was lighting things up before he got hurt. There was a ton of excitement around Jabre Barber. And I mean, I was devastated for him, not for him, A, and B, for this football team when he went down with the injury. And it didn't sound like you were going to be seeing much Jabre Barber this year. Now, luckily, it does in fact sound like you're going to see him on the field. And here's the deal. You've got to look at this perspective-wise of what this means for the wide receiver room. I talked about my concerns about depth, and not as much depth as it is really, I would say the better word to describe my thoughts was inexperience. That's how I felt. The young receivers didn't have all that much experience. Yet a lot of guys haven't played a lot of snaps. Now you have an extra veteran guy. And I mean, let's pull up the numbers on Barber once again. I mean, this dude is an absolute dog. I mean, he's a great player. But if you have Jabre Barber out on the field this year, I feel so much better about Texas A&M's season. I mean, seriously, like that little detail makes me feel better. I think he's immediately your number 4 guy. And you never know. I mean, you never know what he can do if he gets healthy and he works his way back into this lineup. But last year, 75 receptions, 999 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's played 3 seasons of college football. So he's experienced. He's played at Troy. And once again, he's a guy who Troy's a good football team. Troy's a winning program. I mean, that's a good place to play to get you ready for the SEC. And I'm really excited to see what he's been able to do. And so going from we're not going to have this great receiver to he might miss a game or two, but we're going to have him this year, so huge. It's really good to hear that Jabre Barber is going to be on the field for the Aggies this season, because it really didn't sound good for a while. And it said, the other part of the quote, way ahead of schedule, could be ready for the season opener. So to me, you got to take that with a grain of salt. To me, what that means, I don't want to say I don't believe he'll be ready for the season opener, because I wouldn't say that's true. But I would say that I think, any of it's exciting is what I'm saying. I would say that worst case scenario, he misses. You pull up the schedule, you have some, like, if you could get Jabre Barber back for the Florida game, I think that would be extremely awesome. So, let's say you find a way to sneak out a win against Notre Dame, you take care of business against McNeese, and then you travel to Florida, and Jabre Barber is is healthy. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, that is huge. That is what you need. And I look at this and I look at him as a player that can make that kind of difference. So this is big. This is big all around for the depth of the wide receiver room. I definitely, as I voiced to you all, had concerns. I had some serious concerns about the depth and inexperience in this wide receiver room. This little change of we're going to have Barber on the field makes me feel a lot better about that room. I'm so happy for him, for this team, all around. But it is so huge for this football team. So, I mean, we've got a lot of great quotes all around from Coach Elko, from Wiggs, from Noah Thomas. We've got a lot of good quotes to run through today. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. This press conference, these quotes got me really pumped up for the season. So let's run through some of these. So Coach Elko had this to say. He said, "It's here finally. It feels like in some ways I got here 2 days ago and in some ways 5 years ago. Everyone is really excited to take the work we've done this summer onto things we've perceived that we're in." I wish I could read sometimes. Don't y'all wish that'd be great? I'm going to do this one more time. He said, "Everyone is really excited to take the work we've done this summer on things we've perceived that we've improved on and get out on the grass and to make it a reality." You know, I just, that quote to me is like hey, it's August 1st when we're watching this. We play a football game in 30 days against Notre Dame at home. Are you kidding me? Like, this is starting to feel real. It is starting to feel like football is coming back. I'll tell y'all, it's funny. Doing this show every day, and I just love doing the show for y'all every day. It's just great. I thoroughly love it. But man, I'm telling you, it makes football season feel like it is an eternity away. I keep looking at the calendar and I'm like, man, it's August. We've done it. We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be previewing football games. And that's really exciting to talk about. And I think the coaching staff and the players are starting to kind of feel that same thing. They're going, man, we almost did it. We almost made it there. Another interesting quote from Coach Elko about this wide receiver room, which we just talked about a little bit. He said, "Feel better standing here at the podium today than I did going into the summer. Each of those kids has taken a step. Noah Thomas has had a really good summer. Moose Muhammad has had a really good summer. Cyrus Allen and Jabre Barber had a really good summer." So that's great to hear. And I'm not a guy who I'm like, if there's not a name on that list, I'm not like, oh, those are the only 4 players that are going to do it. Like, I don't look at it like that. I think, I don't think that I read into it, but I don't read into what's not there. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, well, what does this mean? We didn't hear about this. We didn't hear about this. I won't read into it quite as deep as that. But, it's good to hear that Coach Elko as a whole feels good about his wide receiver room. Because I think he's going to have a great quarterback, and it would be a shame if the receivers couldn't help that elite quarterback out. And as you all know, I'm very confident in the top 3 guys for this wide receiver room. And now if you have a healthy Jabre Barber, my goodness, I really think that makes that much of a difference for this football team. And it really does get me pumped up for the start of the 2024 football season. We've got a lot more quotes to get through, a lot more off-season topics to get through, a lot of really exciting stuff, in my opinion, and we will run through all of it coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to talk a little bit about GameTime. And as you everydayers here at Locked On Aggies know, nothing on this planet brings me more joy than talking about my favorite app, my favorite place to go buy tickets, GameTime. If I am buying a ticket to an event, football game, sporting event of any kind, country music concert, any kind of concert, comedy, theater, whatever you might want to go to, the only place you should ever buy a ticket to that event is on GameTime. I absolutely love the GameTime app. It is so easy to use. I also love how I can see where I'm going to be sitting on my app. I think that's a great feature. I love that all I have to do is open up my app and I go, okay, here's my seat. Do I like this seat better? This one's only $4 more, a few rows closer. I like the angle better here. We're going to go with this one. I love that. It makes buying tickets easier. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, the lowest prices guaranteed. So back on some more of these quotes. A couple about the offensive line here. So Coach Elko says, from where we were to where we are, it would be hard to stand here in front of you and tell you it's a strength. We've made a lot of strides, really improved. It will be significantly better than it was in the spring. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to read too much into these quotes. I'm going to read that again. Let everybody breathe this in with me. From where we were to where we are, it would be hard to stand here in front of you and tell you it's a strength. So, unless A, I'm reading that wrong, B, Coach didn't explain what he was thinking in his head, I take that as they've improved significantly, but he still doesn't believe it's a strength of this football team. It's going to be better than it was in the spring. We made a lot of strides, really improved. They've gotten better, but it sounds like he's not overly excited, woo, our offensive line's going to be elite. It doesn't sound like that is the feel. And once again, I say that. I'm sounding a little bit, negative right now talking about this, but you got to hear my real genuine thoughts on this. I don't think this offensive line needs to be elite. And I've talked about that a ton. As y'all know, I've said this often. I've told y'all, if this offensive line can just be good, if it can be serviceable, if it ranked in somewhere from that 7, 8, 9 range in the SEC, I'd feel pretty good about it. I wouldn't be one bit upset about that because once again, I think you have to look at this. You have to look at this as they're not going to be the best offensive line in the SEC. What you need them to be is good enough to block for the running backs and give Connor Weigman time to find open receivers. Don't have to be elite. They just have to be good. And I believe that quote that I just read tells me that they can do that. So it's not, Coach Elko's not out here selling, hey, I'm telling y'all, watch out, this offensive line, we might not be talking a lot about it. They could be the best unit in the SEC. He's not saying that. I think he believes that it's not the best unit on this team, but it can get the job done. And that's enough for me. That's all I've asked for. I just need this offensive line to be good enough to do those things. Give Connor Weigman time, create holes for the running backs. Simple as that. Coach Elko also goes on to say there are a lot of ways, this is on the offensive line, there are a lot of ways that we have to look at this to make sure that we have the best 5 on the field and have flexibility that does not lock us into only playing 5. One of the things that could give us an advantage is playing 7 or 8 guys. So it sounds like you're going to have a potential rotating door at offensive line. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm against that. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm for that. That's one of those things. Let's see it. You know what I mean? Let's see it happen. Let's see how it works out. I'm not going to sit here and talk negatively on this plan because, hey, maybe it could be great. Maybe it couldn't be great. And we'll find out. So that's one of those, sometimes you do those things and you overthink and it doesn't work out. Sometimes you do those things and it's great. So, I mean, we'll just have to see how that works itself out. But, that's one of those, that's a wait and see type of quote to me. Coach Elko then says this about Chase Bisontis. He says he has been at a guard all the way. He has never left guard. We feel that's the right spot for him. He has been a guard since day one with us. So, I talked about how, yes, the original conversation was we're going to have Bisontis play guard. He played tackle last year, but we're going to have him play guard this year. I thought there was still potential of flexibility there, but no, it sounds like Bisontis is playing guard. So the tackles now become very, very interesting. I also want to find this quote. I'm going to scroll because I liked it in a different. Here you go. Coach Elko says that Kali Faui, I'm still working on that. Faui, I'm working on that. The transfer center from Utah, Mark Naboo and Cam Dewberry are the three linemen working, competing for the starting job at center. So I've always said I think the best option is for Kali, the Utah transfer, to win that job, and then Naboo play one of the guard spots, I guess, now with Basantis. But we'll just kind of have to see how that works itself out. Because I think you have an offensive line that a lot of guys can play a lot of places. And I think that's a good problem to have. I always talk about this. That's a good problem to have. Here's Coach Elko talking about Connor Weigman. He says about his summer, it was a good one. When you talk about where he was in the spring, learning a brand new system, coming back from injury and not being anywhere near 100%, to now healthy and play and function the way you want to, it's been a cool summer for him to see it all come together. So that's a great quote about the Aggies quarterback. He also says he's a lot more comfortable today than he was in the spring game, which is good to hear. I mean, I thought Connor was fine in the spring game, made some good throws, made some throw. It was I wasn't worried about it. But it's good to hear he's settling in. Learning a new offense is not easy. That is not something that is super easy. There's a lot that goes into that. So it's great to hear that Connor's learning this offense. He's understanding it. He's developing, and he's learning what he's going to have to do in Coach Klein's offense. And then this was Coach Elko's quote on Wednesday's practice. He said, when we go out tomorrow night, or for the first practice, he said, when we go out tomorrow night, we expect that we are operating at full speed, are ready to roll with no build-up. So that will be a lot of a testament to Coach Moffitt and his strength and conditioning program, which we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But it's great stuff. You want to go out there and you want to play ball. You don't want to have to get people in shape. You want to go out there and you want to ball immediately. This is Coach Elko on Noah Thomas. He committed to the weight room from January to today. That commitment ultimately helps. In terms of his ceiling, he's a 6'4" kid who catches the ball with a huge catch radius. What he needed to do was get a little stronger to have better play strength. It sounds like he's done that. It sounds like Coach Elko says, he's committed to the weight room and he's working on that. So that's great to hear. Because Coach Elko said the same thing after the spring game. He said, we're going to get Noah Thomas in the weight room and he's going to surprise some people. He's going to be a great player. And it sounds like that's what's going on here. Now talking about Coach Moffitt, it has been well documented that Tommy Moffitt has had a change in that from a cultural standpoint. The way we look at strength and conditioning is different. We embraced it. I don't think we had a single kid miss a lift this summer. That's good. Good to hear. Players are holding each other accountable, showing up to what they need to show up to. That is all great stuff. This is Coach Elko talking about the strength and conditioning program. When you go out to see these guys in the fall camp, I think a lot of their bodies look a little different in the way they handled these last 8 months, the way you would have expected them to. So that's good. Once again, great stuff about the strength and conditioning program. This is Coach Elko talking about the running back room. Ruben Owens and Le'Veon Moss have had great summers. Amari Daniels looked a lot different. EJ Smith is now primed. You have a lot of pieces back there that could be very successful. Once again, exactly what we want to hear. You have a lot of guys who can help this football team. That's exactly what you want to hear if you're a Texas A&M football fan, because this team has a few elite players. If one guy gets banged up, you got a ton of great players that, can come in and help you if push comes to shove injury-wise, which is, once again, not a bad problem to have. So now, once again, we get to Connor Weigman, and he says, we're at 100% right now. It's been a long, hard offseason. Getting something you love taken away from you that quickly was tough. I'm good to go. I'm excited about camp. Let's get this thing started. I just love the way Connor Weigman talks about football. He is just excited about football. I mean, he's excited to get out there and play the game of football, the game he loves. I love to hear that. I all around love that Texas A&M's quarterback loves to play football. It's a great thing to hear. It will lead to wins on the field. We're going to read a few more quotes from the Aggies quarterback and receiver Noah Thomas, and before we call it a day here at Locked On Aggies. But first, we got to talk about our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Got a couple more quotes to run through here. So Connor Weigman goes on to say this about Coach Klein. He says, the scheme came together pretty fast because I was spending a lot of hours with Colin Klein right off the bat. It has been really good so far. That's great. You know, you've got to have that connection with your OC. It's good to hear that. So Connor Weigman then goes on to say, this is about Texas. He goes, I've always wanted to beat Texas. That much is a given. I like that. Man, a few words about that. Don't go out here and talk a lot of smack. Go play the game. Go win the game. Don't sit here and say, we're better than them. We're the best. Don't do any of that. Let's go play the game. I want to beat them. We're gonna make it happen. You know, go out there and say the right things. I like that the face of the program, you know, the starting quarterback is doing that the right way. So Weigman then had this to say about Coach Klein's offense. He said, so this is what excites the most about the offense as a general, Coach Klein's offense. Points, a lot of points. I'm excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, that's the type of quote, you just love that. You love that he says, hey, we're going to score a lot of points. We're going to be a really good offense. You love hearing your starting quarterback have confidence in what this offense is going to look like. And that's what it sounds like for Connor Weigman. So now we've got some quotes from Noah Thomas. He said, we all stayed quiet, put our heads down, rolled our sleeves up, and got to it. All of us with the same mindset. It makes us even more locked in. Love that. I love the whole we work hard, right here grinding type of stuff. Here's him on his receivers coach, Holman Wiggins. He's building us to be better receivers as well. We got to be a student of the game first. Right now, it's learning that playbook, staying in there, and knowing what to do. Noah Thomas had this to say about Connor Weigman. More time is always going to build a better relationship on and off the field. We have a great bond. We have great chemistry. I can't wait for this fall camp and season to start up. He then had this to say, and now we're here down to Bryce Anderson quotes. So Bryce Anderson talked about some of the battles. He says, corner is going to be a battle. Nickel will be a battle. Every position will be a battle. I feel like the whole defense has been going to work. He said this about going back to his position of safety. Playing safety is my natural position. I like to be versatile. I feel like I can play the fastest at safety. I can be an eraser back there. I love that. And I love Coach Elko walking in the door and saying, hey, you are a safety. Go play safety. No more of this nickel. No more of that. Go play safety. I love that. Walk in the door, business. That's great to hear. And then Bryce Anderson says, at safety, the game for me is slower. I feel like I can eliminate things. I can use my speed to go sideline to sideline. I feel like I have more attributes at safety. And then my last quote that I really love here, and we'll call it a day, from Anderson on Terry York. He says, effort. He's an all-around natural leader. The guy is in the building every day at 6 a.m. We feed off each other, and we're always on the same page. That's my guy. I feel like we're going to feed off each other this year. I just love that. I really love that bond with a teammate. But not only that, the fact that Terry York is a young player. He's a sophomore, and he's a leader on this football team. He's going to be an incredible football player. And when he's done with school, if football isn't for him, he might be the president someday. I mean, that's how great of a young man he is, great of a leader he is, and great of a person he is. Terry York is a great person to be a captain on this football team, and his teammates see that and respect that, and I love to see it. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. Really, really appreciate it. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we got football this month. The Aggies play football this month, and I couldn't be more excited. I know y'all feel the exact same way. Once again, really appreciate y'all being here. Hope everyone enjoyed the interview yesterday with DeAndre Ryden. That was a lot of fun to get a player on the pod. We're going to try and do that again in the future. Going to reach out to some guys and we'll see what we can make happen. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day today, and we will see y'all tomorrow, Friday, right here at Locked On Aggies.